got your coffee. We're gonna move our coffee stuff to the back, and we're gonna make something else for breakfast. We're gonna make some eggs.
Okay.
But before we do, we're also going to make our dinner.
Okay.
Because I want to talk to you, because one of the things that you expressed to me was that the one thing that is confusing is how much time different things take.
Yeah, it's true.
And how to think about that.
It's true. Because you got so many meals and when do I make what? You know? And in this process, I made the coffee before making the eggs. But in a normal breakfast situation, I'd be trying to make both at the same time. It would be very chaotic. And so one of the things that I think that they don't really tell you in telling you how to cook things is how to think about what to do when. And it's interesting. You have on the table here. You have tomato sauce and a cucumber.
It's a zucchini. We had this discussion just yesterday.
Oh, we did. You tried to teach me the difference between a cucumber and a zucchini. I think they looked at
this is a learning process.
Identical.
This is a learning process.
Identical. Oh, you said there was this to the top.
A little top.
Thing.
The little top.
Okay, that's a zucchini. You have a zucchini, which is you're not going to eat with the eggs. So what is your plan
here? So we could eat the zucchini with the eggs. Zucchini and eggs is lovely. But what we're going to do is put in something that will take a long time, and then we'll make the eggs while that thing is cooking. And so the thing that we're also going to make is a thing that when I lived with you, your mother always brought.
Okay.
Which is a vegetarian lasagna.
Vegetarian lasagna.
And the reason I thought we should make this is one of the ways that I understand the things that I like to eat is based off of what my parents made me when I was a kid. Those are the first things that I knew that I enjoyed enjoyed eating. Mm-hmm. And so I figured you probably like lasagna, or at least you've eaten your fair share of lasagnas.
I've eaten a lot of lasagnas.
Okay, so we're gonna make a lasagna. It's gonna be a very simple vegetarian lasagna. To do that, could you grab the noodles and the little casserole? We're gonna make a miniature version of this because this is a show, not actually us eating. Although we are eating all of these things. All right.
Okay.
So we've got some lasagna supplies.
Yes.
All right. The first thing that we want to do, and this is a timing thing, is we want to cut our zucchini. Okay. Why do we want to cut our zucchini first?
Yeah.
Because zucchini, we need to cook it a little bit before we put it in the lasagna.
Okay.
So it's going to take some time for the zucchini to cook. We know that, so we can probably put it on to cook, and then we can do the other things. So how do you want to cut the zucchini?
How do I want to cut the zucchini?
There's no right way.
What do you mean? How do I want to cut the zucchini?
This is the same show. There's still no right way to do a thing.
Why don't we do little slivers? We did sort of cubes last night. Why don't we do slivers?
Okay.
Can we do slivers? Like circles? Is that weird?
No. Why is that weird?
I don't know.
The only thing to think about when you're cutting, there's two things to think about when you're cutting something.
Yeah.
One is how long it's going to take to cook. Bigger things take longer to cook than smaller things.
Yeah.
And what it's going to be like to eat it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to put this whole thing in the lasagna because it'd be really difficult to eat. Okay?
Right. Gotcha.
This is gonna be quite easy to eat, and you'll still be able to taste the zucchini.
Yeah.
If you cut it really, really small, you might not be able to taste the zucchini as much because it'd be so small. Okay, so you want circles. That's what you said. We're just gonna cut it. We don't have to cut it particularly fast. We could.
Yeah.
But we don't have to.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, when you're doing the
yep. Point down
technique.
All right, this is not a professional way to cut the zucchini, but generally, what do we want out of things being cut? The same size.
Right, right.
All right, so we've cut our zucchini. Do you want to turn on the pan and give us a little bit of oil?
Yeah, why not?
So I feel like you also have a fear of oil in the pan.
A fear of oil in the pan, yes.
As opposed to cooking spray. And where does this come from?
Well, because doesn't oil like bubbles and sprays you, and like you toss a thing in the oil and you get a splattering of boiling hot oil all over your face? This does not happen to you?
It doesn't, but I'm hearing that it happens to you.
This is not your experience in the kitchen with cooking with oil?
So one way to avoid the splattering is to not put water into the oil. Now, once again, totally up to you. You
Okay.
can, if you like the splattering, you can do the
I
splattering.
don't want to be splattered in the face.
But things that have water in them will make the oil splatter. All right, so we're gonna preheat the pan and the oil to cook the zucchini. All we want to do is
I think I'll put that. Okay.
all we want to do is get the zucchini soft.
Right.
Do you want to preheat our oven also?
Or the oven.
Mm-hmm. First time using the oven.
By the way, is this done?
Yeah, that's done.
We're done with that. Okay. Bake. What do we want it at?
350 degrees.
350.
Now, the reason I know that is from the box. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. But
Okay.
generally, most things cook between 350 and like 425.
Okay.
But the higher temperature you cook it, the faster, but also the more likely it will burn. Lower is slower, but less likely that it'll burn.
Mm-hmm.
What you see here, under conventional oven,
Conventional oven.
it says
350 degrees for
degrees.
30 minutes.
all right. So we're gonna put our zucchini in here, but I feel like there's a step, Nathan, that we need to do to our zucchini,
Okay.
and it's season the zucchini.
Season the
Because
zucchini.
we season everything.
We season everything.
We season
Season
everything.
everything. That's a point.
I mean, once again, only if you want.
No, it makes a difference. It made a difference in those tacos because when I make, I mean, I don't really make, but when I have attempted to make anything, it comes out very bland.
Yeah, well, it's really just salt and pepper makes a huge difference.
Mm.
And when we make lunch, we're just gonna make 2 simple cheese sandwiches, and one with seasoning and one without.
Uh-huh.
And we're gonna kind of see what the difference
Okay.
is, even though seasoning takes no time whatsoever.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got pepper,
Pepper.
and do we have some salt?
Yes.
We have some somewhere.
We do. Well,
Where is unclear. Do you want to grab the little?
I
Oh,
could
there
get
it
the
is.
fancy pink salt.
There's also salt on your left from your house, but yeah, we can get the
Let's use the fancy pink
weird
Himalayan salt.
pink sea salt.
I like that stuff. I don't know if it's different, but I like it because it's pink.
It's, you know what? If you like it, then you should get it.
See, your rules are gonna backfire. when
No,
you
they will
find
never
out with,
backfire.
like, the ridiculous things I like. Like
They
I
will
would
never.
like this to be pink.
They will never backfire.
I want pink salt.
Okay, so we're sauteing our zucchini. Let's think about the other things that go in a good lasagna.
Okay,
So we have sauce
sauce,
and we have cheese.
cheese.
Okay, so the cheese, this is going to make all Italians and all lasagna people very annoyed, but once again, we don't really care.
We don't care. We're just trying to eat tasty things.
We're trying to eat tasty things and give Nathan some recipes where he
And,
can do
and
something
we're not trying
easily.
to eat just tasty things. We are trying to figure out how to think about how to make yourself a meal.
And so,
And
like I said, one of the reasons that I wanted to do lasagna, so this is ricotta. I'm just going to put some ricotta in, an
Okay.
amount. And the way you figure out the amount is
Yeah.
you have the dish size.
Yeah.
So we have a tiny thing. So I'm not going to make that much ricotta.
Mm.
If you had a big pan, but you can make this, when you make this at home,
Yes.
because I know you will,
I will.
you could do it in a giant pan. You could
Oh, I
make
see,
some
I
for
see,
dinner
I
one
see.
day, have a piece,
Yeah.
and then you could also have meals for many days.
I could do that, yeah.
And it would take the same amount of time
Right.
because you would just be making a bigger quantity of the thing. So it's good, especially if you live alone, it's good to make a big quantity of things,
Yeah.
enough that you could have a couple of meals. Not so much that it's going to
Yeah.
go rotten, but enough. So we're going to put in some ricotta. Do you want to taste some ricotta? Just grab a little glop. What does it taste like? Not much.
Not much.
Yeah,
No,
not much.
That's not really.
Okay. So this is just
Hmm.
this is a good base thing, but we want to add a little bit of flavor to it. So what
yeah,
we do?
That tastes like kind of like cream. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a little bit like cream. It's just fatty, really.
great.
A little fat is flavor.
Fat
So we're gonna add some.
This fat is in flavor.
We're gonna add some salt and
Okay.
pepper. Can you
Alright,
pass me the salt?
Fancy. Salt.
And then if you want, you can also add some herbs to it.
Okay.
So what I
How
like
do
to
you
add.
know which herbs to use?
So
There's so many.
there are so many. I think what a good place to start. There's 2 good places to start. One is figuring out a couple of recipes, like actually reading the recipes and making them, and those will have herbs or spices in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think, okay, well, I know for this type of dish, you use this. So for Italian food, there's, like, if you look at a pasta sauce or if you look at a lasagna, there's things like oregano, there's things like basil.
This is what you've got here is
Oregano and basil. And then you think, okay, well, those flavors go together with cheese and tomato and pasta. And so if I make a future recipe in the future without a recipe, but I'm just creating a dish, I might put those spices in. But I think pick like 5 spices or herbs that you know that you like and that you can use, and just stick to those initially. And don't, because people want to have like a huge spice cabinet with a bunch of things that they don't use.
I don't want a huge spice cabinet.
Just
I want to know
pick the things that you actually use.
Solid, dependable things. And in fact, that's another thing that I think we want to do, and we're going to show you shortly the all of the groceries that Oren had me get for 2 or 3 weeks of meals. And we want to think about versatile things where, like, you can look at it and you can go, oh, there's a bunch of different things I could do with that. Lots of different ways I could make it. And then how to look at your things and go like, oh, I can see.
Well, it's good. I mean, it's really good to have variety in the stuff that you eat to make life not boring.
So,
but the sweet potato that we cooked last night. The spinach that we're going to use, all this sort of stuff that we're cooking. It's not just that we're cooking big batches of dishes that you could continue to eat over the week. We're definitely doing that.
Right.
You could have the tacos the next day, all those sorts of things. We're also, one good way to think initially, much like the spices, is get a bunch of vegetables that you know you like, that you can use in a bunch of different dishes.
Yes, and that is what you did at the grocery store. Was you had me. We went right through the produce aisle, and you said, and I don't really like celery or mushrooms.
So let's not get celery or mushrooms.
We didn't get celery, or we didn't get mushrooms. I mean, even though I don't know the difference between a zucchini and a cucumber, I do know that I like both zucchini and cucumber, or at least I have no objection to them. So we popped those in. I've definitely never cooked a zucchini before.
Well, you know how to cook things. You cooked the sweet potatoes and the beans and the onions.
So it doesn't burn.
You move it around so it doesn't burn. All right. So my initial plan was to make a tomato sauce out of the canned tomatoes that you had. But
they were expired.
On a previous episode, we discovered that they were extremely expired.
They weren't that expired.
Just a year plus.
6 months.
No, the newest one was 6 months. There was also some from 2019 from 2018.
It was as recent as 6 months.
Sure.
Okay.
So we have a jarred tomato sauce. Once again, people might be snobs. I think a jarred tomato sauce is fine.
You don't need to make your own sauce.
I mean, I like making my own sauce, and if you like cooking, you can make your own sauce. It's easy, and you can add whatever flavors you want. And the way that you might figure out what type of flavors you want is look at the canned tomato or the jarred tomato sauce and think, okay, well, they put garlic, basil, and oregano in this.
Yeah.
Maybe if I make tomato sauce, those are things that I will put in.
Okay.
If I want it to taste like this.
Yes.
But you also don't need to. You could just buy a jar of tomato sauce.
Okay.
So what we're going to do with the lasagna is we're going to... It's just noodles, vegetables, and tomato sauce and cheese. So...
Sorry, stupid question. That's a noodle?
This is a noodle.
I was thinking of a noodle as a
spaghetti?
long floppy thing.
Yeah, so
you call this a that's not just a pasta, or is it a pasta? It is a pasta. A noodle is a
same thing.
Huh. Okay.
Pasta is just flour and egg together.
Yeah.
This is just a different shape of a spaghetti.
Pasta is just flour. Yeah, it's strange to think about pasta as being flour and egg, but it is. I mean, I've watched videos of guys making the little
well,
mountain, well, where they put the egg in the well, but then you have to squeeze the thing through the thing.
Yeah, and if you want to do that, you can.
No, I really don't. I really don't
think
because actually store-bought cheap, and again, really, really cheap pasta boxes are quite good.
They're pretty good.
And they're all imported from Italy. Like when you look at the
I don't know if that matters, but
no, I know, but like it's interesting when you look at even the cheap stuff in the store. It goes imported Italian pasta.
I don't know if
they
they're
make all
telling you the truth, but let's say that they are.
I think they are.
Look, if it
them.
works for you.
No, look. What does it say? It says. Where does
Is this
it say?
going to be the
with
only
it?
one that says it's not important?
Product of Italy. Made in Italy.
Can you get us our grater?
Genuine Italian pasta.
And can you pull our cheese just out of the freezer right there?
Out of the freezer?
Yeah.
Is there a reason you froze the cheese?
There is. Once again, not a thing that you need to do, but mozzarella is very soft. It's very squishy. Feel it?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to grate things that are super squishy because they
Grating.
they fly all over the place.
Yes.
So if you're grating something, which makes it easier to melt, you want it harder. So you can freeze it a little bit. I put it in for 5 minutes.
You want to grate the mozzarella.
You can grate the mozzarella.
Okay.
It makes it easier. So we're going to turn our pan off. And why are we turning our pan off?
Because the zucchinis are done?
Zucchinis are cooked through, and you can see
Yeah,
they're
you can
brown
see
a
they're
little
browning.
bit.
Yeah.
You don't
These
want
are-
them burned, and they're going to cook a little bit
browning.
more in the lasagna. All right.
Right, they will also be cooked in the
So
lasagna.
we have 2 cheeses here.
Okay.
We have
Parmesan
a Parmesan,
cheese.
and we have a mozzarella.
Okay.
Why do we have 2 cheeses? It's a good question, Nick.
I forgot my question.
Um,
Why do we have 2 cheeses, Oren?
well, because cheeses just have different flavors, and it's nice to have multiple different
Now,
flavors.
is there a
but
grating
also,
technique? Can I grate some cheese?
Yeah, please, grate the
I would
cheese.
like to grate some cheese.
So one reason we have
You
2
should make me
different
do
cheeses is because we want different flavors. The other reason is, have you ever tried to make a grilled cheese with Parmesan cheese?
Yes.
It doesn't work that well. Because Parmesan cheese doesn't melt very well.
No.
It kind of just
I found that out.
stays flat. Mozzarella cheese melts pretty well. So we're going to use this to flavor our ricotta, and then we're going to have some melty, nice, stringy mozzarella, because that's what I like out of the lasagna, when it's stringy and gooey.
How much?
However much you want.
Okay, but how much is too much? There's no
There's no such thing as too much if you don't poison yourself.
we're
Okay,
done.
that does look like a good amount.
I do notice that one of the things that you are doing and have been doing and seem to believe in is approximations rather than like 5 cups of berries and 2 tablespoons of salt
And here's why.
yeah.
The reason why is I think recipes that give you specific directions are great
Yeah.
for telling you exactly how to make that dish.
Yeah.
That's fine. But
Right.
if you want to know how to think about food,
Yes.
then you got a really good amount of
And this
Parmesan
is-
in here. And you don't want to know why? Because you looked at it and you said, well, I don't want it to be all Parmesan.
Yeah.
I want it to be some Parmesan. The Parmesan is the flavor. And so you grade
Yeah.
it an amount.
That was the preheating. Preheating's done. Yeah, I think one of the things I like about one of the reasons that I wanted Oren to show me how to cook, and that I think Oren is a good cook, is not because you're Gordon Ramsay, but because you are very good at thinking about. If Oren comes into your house and goes, well, what do you have? And he goes, oh, this is what we can make out of that.
Because sometimes you just don't have all the things you want.
Yeah, you're very good at improvising, and I think that's what I want to learn how to do.
So right now what we're going to do
Okay, you should make me do stuff. I want to do stuff.
I put down 1 layer of sauce,
Okay,
a noodle,
I saw
and some
that.
cheese.
Okay.
And then, do you want to put
No.
some of our zucchini in?
Oh, sure. What do I just...
Yeah,
This
just throw some of our little zucchinis in. And you could put whatever
What
vegetable.
is the best way to... Do I just slide these out of the pan and
Yeah.
just sort of...
Really, whatever way works for you.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep frustrating you.
But...
Now remember, we have multiple layers, so you want to add some, not all.
Okay.
And you could put it, we're just doing this as a demonstration,
Okay.
but you could put a bunch of different vegetables in here.
Okay.
You could saute spinach.
Can I move them around with my fingers?
Yeah, why not? You're going to be eating it.
Okay.
And if you're making it for someone else, just wash your hands.
Yes. Okay. There we go. So now they're sort of... Does this need to be spread more, or... Sort of...
Yeah, so we can spread it more here. Where's the spoon?
This is the other thing they don't ever show you in cooking shows is hunting around for the right utensil and going like, where did I place the?
Which is half.
Do
of
we have a
cooking.
can opener?
Did you bring the
Where
can
is
opener
it?
this time?
I did bring the can opener, so
because we don't want
have
to
to have
do
the
that
demonstration of Oren. Yeah, I can already tell this lasagna is not going to be pretty either.
No, it doesn't need to be. It'll be prettier than you think, though.
Oh, maybe because the top layer.
The top layer
we're
will be
gonna make
cheese.
It's a beautiful cheesy top layer.
But it doesn't need to be pretty.
Okay.
Now, we will do one episode where we cook for someone else, and I do think that when you're cooking for someone else, if your goal is to impress them, then making something that looks pretty can be important. But that's the only time when unless it's actually important to you.
Yes.
But you've told me that's not that important to you.
Do you have a tip for what to do? Here's the thing that I often find myself when I do try to make things. So I do occasionally try to make things. I'll have like one of these fork or this is a spatula. Yeah. I won't know where to set it down. Where do you set the stuff down so as not to make a mess? Can you leave stuff on this, or is this gonna catch fire and burn?
No,
if it's plastic, is it gonna melt? Like what do you? No, is it okay to do that? Or
it's okay to do that. That's a spatula that's made for the pan.
Okay.
But they do have little items called like a spatula holder. That's just a little dish that you can just rest it on. I have one. I like it.
Yeah.
It means that I'm not just like setting a dirty spatula on the countertop and
Because
then having
I
to
find
clean
I'm
it or
constantly
something.
setting like a fork on the counter with stuff on it, and it's gross.
Yeah, so you could do.
Do you lay out, or if you don't have a spatula holder, I guess lay out a paper towel.
You could lay out a paper towel. Yeah. You could just lay out a plate.
Just
like
have a
little plate that that's
yeah.
your plate that you're gonna put stuff on.
So, it's a small thing, but it's like it makes a lot of mess on my counter.
Being a little bit organized, you don't have to be regimented like you're in a professional kitchen, but being a little bit organized does help.
Oh, this is actually you managed to grate this mozzarella.
Yeah, so that's some grated mozzarella.
Like grated cheese.
So I like gooiness in the layers. So I like to put a little bit in there and not just have it all on top. So if you want to sprinkle a little bit in there.
I don't sprinkle that well, but
But as you're doing it, the thing that I like to think about is what's your experience going to be eating it?
Yeah.
So when you were like, oh, should we spread this out more? The reason's not so that it looks nice.
Yeah.
The reason is because you want cheese in every bite.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So we're going to do another layer. And then, so one of the things that we didn't show is this noodle doesn't fit.
No, it doesn't. The noodle is too big for the. So I think we have to give up.
Yeah. So there's two ways to deal with this, right? If you're a formalist,
the lasagna didn't work.
If you're a formalist about this,
lasagna
you would give up.
Over.
Or you break the lasagna.
Oh Jesus! But it's shattered.
That's fine. We'll clean it up. It's no big deal.
So if you do this and your piece of lasagna shatters I'm gonna do it too because we're gonna have another layer, right?
Yeah.
So
try to make it not shatter as much because you don't want to clean up as much. But
yeah, right.
Okay, great.
Ah!
You did it well.
I beat you
did it better than I did it.
on the lasagna breaking. Mine didn't fly everywhere because I held it very carefully here and here and just bent it till it broke.
Almost like you're a human being.
It's like I developed technique.
See, look, you're a chef now.
That's the technique.
You have the lasagna bending technique.
Lasagna breaking. I did get a shard here, but it doesn't matter. Now, do you put the shard in, or
you can put the shard in because the shard is just
because
pasta.
this will go gooey. It's not going to. It's not going to be a shard when it's.
So we're using. There's two types of lasagna noodles. One is a type that you have to boil first, like normal pasta, and then you put it in the lasagna. We're using stuff that you can just put right in the oven. The one danger with that is sometimes the exposed edges that aren't covered by sauce get a little bit crispy. If you like that, great.
Oh, okay.
If you don't, just make sure that you cover everything with sauce, even the little shards that you're putting in.
Because there's parts of it that are not covered in sauce here.
Yeah, because we're not pre-cooking the noodles and making them...
Pre-cooking the noodles, okay.
Like you might with, a spaghetti or something else.
Okay.
All right, so we're just going to put some of our zucchini in.
Oh, right, okay.
Then we're going to put our mozzarella.
Oh, mozzarella.
And once again, if you forget a thing in one of the layers, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't
This is
matter.
your lasagna.
This is my lasagna. Okay.
You are master of the lasagna.
Layer it. I'll put this in.
Put that in.
Why not?
Why not? Just make sure it's
Okay.
covered in sauce.
Okay, cover it in sauce.
Spread it around.
Spread it. Spread it. Oh, it's sort of. Okay.
We'll do our last bit of ricotta.
But I guess, you know, even though these layers are kind of a mess, they're buried in the tray.
Yeah, lasagna is a classic doesn't need to be pretty kind of dish.
Yeah.
Because everything, I mean, it's just a casserole, right?
I don't know what a casserole is.
A casserole is just a thing in this type of dish.
Okay. I willing to expose my ignorance to the public. Okay, is that done?
That's done. That was our ricotta. Actually, do you want to taste it before?
Oh, taste it?
So remember how the ricotta tasted.
Yes.
How does that taste?
Ooh. Mm. Oh, that's quite nice. It's very different. Mm.
All we did was add salt, pepper, basil,
Mm.
oregano, and Parmesan cheese
Oh, we added the Parmesan to the
to the ricotta.
ricotta. Right. Mm. Wow, that's hugely different.
Okay, I just dropped the zucchini.
It's
here.
dropped a
That's
zucchini
fine.
in the mozzarella, but it's fine. It's fine to drop a zucchini
It's
in
fine
the
to drop a
mozzarella.
zucchini in the
You
mozzarella.
you will do this. These are things you will do.
All right, we're gonna put our last layer of pasta on.
Okay.
We're gonna put our last layer of sauce,
Okay.
and then we're just gonna top this off with the mozzarella cheese.
Okay. Okay.
All right, do you want to put a bunch of mozzarella on top of that?
Yes. I will put mozzarella on top. Just use the rest of this?
Use as much as you want. And if you're like,
Well,
wow, there's
actually-
not enough, then you could put more.
No, I don't want more.
Put one.
I'm developing preferences. Because I've been told not to eat too much cheese, and this has already got a shitload of cheese in it.
All right, we're gonna put a little bit of Parmesan on top. Now, the parts that you don't cover in cheese won't be gooey. I'm just throwing that out there. But if you want
Can
less
I-
cheese, it's your lasagna.
Can I ask something again stupid?
Please.
Could if I put breadcrumbs on this, would that be okay?
That would be fine.
Is that like a thing? Like if I grated a piece of bread onto this, would that make it horrible?
It wouldn't make it poison.
But it wouldn't be good.
I don't know. I've never tried grating a piece of bread. You can. So some people put like breadcrumbs on top of macaroni and cheese. To make
Yeah,
a
that's
crispy
what I was
top.
thinking. I was thinking of the macaroni and cheese.
You're relating different
crispy-
food items.
Yeah.
I see.
I was like, well, macaroni and cheese has a nice. When you do a cheese layer on top of that, it's got a nice crispy breadcrumb top.
you know, I've never tried that on lasagna, but you could. And
you
could,
know what? Let's do it because I want that.
what I would recommend is not great. So what breadcrumbs are dried bread.
Oh, we gotta
that's,
dry the
That's
bread.
then fine.
Okay,
So like this is just going to be gooey
this is gooey.
because this is fresh bread.
breadcrumbs
But if you
gotta
wanted
dry.
to put breadcrumbs on, I'm sure
Dry
every
the
Italian
bread.
might kill
Okay.
you. But but it might be really good.
No,
I don't know.
we won't get killed by the Italians today because I don't have dried bread. But
But if you want to do it like this is
You're allowed.
this is your lasagna.
You're allowed. No
you
one
can do
can
whatever
stop
you
you.
want. As
no
long as
one
you
can
don't-
stop me. I can put anything on.
As long as you don't kill anyone.
I might, if I was doing this because I'm a vegetarian, I might put some veggie meat in.
You might put some veggie meat. You might put a
sausage.
bunch of different other vegetables in there.
Well, I don't know anything about other vegetables yet, so I'm going to stick to zucchini.
okay, zucchini.
But we're
Let me
gonna
say-
learn about other
let me say,
vegetables.
you could put some spinach in. I'm just gonna
Oh,
throw
I
that
can
out
put
there.
spinach in. I can
You
put
know
spinach in.
spinach. You've heard of
Do you have
spinach.
to cook the spinach first, or
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but you should. I would say you
what
should.
you should? Okay.
All right. So, do you want to pop our little guy in the oven?
Oh, yes.
And put some foil on top of it.
This is our lasagna. Oh, and put foil. Okay. What's the foil for?
The foil is just so that the top of the cheese doesn't burn, because it's all exposed to the heat. So we want
I
to make
see.
sure that the noodles fully cook.
I see.
I was thinking about your ratatouille neoliberalism
Yeah.
theory the other day. I was thinking, it actually seems really right. That Ratatouille is about neoliberalism.
Well, it just has a neoliberal. It just has
Or as a neoliberal outlook.
underlying ethic to it.
But I think it led me to this formulation, which is not that, which we discussed a little bit last time, which is not that not that anyone can cook, but that everyone can cook.
Right.
And then, the CLR James, every cook can govern. Because
Everyone
really,
can
that's
cook and every cook can govern. Yes.
the most radically democratic thing.
It's not that, like, the talent for cooking could be in anyone.
No,
It is that no matter who you are,
because not everyone has to be a 3 Michelin star chef.
Yeah,
You just have to be able to feed yourself and the people around you.
Right. And I think that's the thing, is there's too much, like, people who are really, really into cooking are the people who show you how to cook. And you're like, I don't want to be that. I just don't want to be that. But I also don't want the fact that I'm not that to be a huge barrier where I feel like if I do things wrong...
You want to be able to feel like if a loved one is sick, that you can make them a dish.
It's interesting. It's like because I was thinking about I've been trying to exercise recently, and there's so much like that. There's
this is how I feel with exercise. If you don't do it well,
like the culture of toxic masculinity and like right wing military bro culture. Mm-hmm. Really poisons the world of exercise for people because it means there's no kind of this and all this like disgusting fascist like be big and powerful and mighty instead of finding
put the stuff back in the fridge.
The ways to exercise that are actually satisfying for you. And I think probably there's a
similar thing
culture in cooking too.
Yeah, there's a similar thing which is like there's all these food things where it's like, oh, if you don't use this particular product or if you don't do it this way, you've done everything very wrong.
There's the wrong. Yeah, and we know that there's a huge snobbery in cooking, mm-hmm. And a feeling that even like, I mean, I think about like, people posting on Twitter that their meals and they're getting made fun of. Like, oh, they're so ugly. And they're like, well, I'm just proud I made it.
Yeah, look.
You gotta be encouraging to people.
Twitter's the worst place to take values from.
That's true.
So,
but what, do you remember Martha Stewart posted her dinner and it was really ugly?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, even Martha Stewart just makes ugly shit.
Ugly.
When she's making it for herself, that's what she makes. She makes ugly shit.
Because why not? Also, maybe just don't post your food on Twitter.
Don't post your food. Don't post your food.
Food is for eating.